Friends, I want to introduce you to Jace Ellis. Great friend of mine, Farrier in this area, been shooting for over 40 years. He has probably shot as many horses as any two men in history. You're really going to enjoy getting to know him. He is a great storyteller, a fun guy to be around. One of the nicest men I know, great cook, good hunter. Anyway, sit back, enjoy. We are cleared for takeoff, and I really appreciate you guys watching. Welcome. So everybody, my great friend Jace Ellis. We did it once,
Done it once.
and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate you coming back since my
Oh, you're welcome.
my technical expertise wasn't up to snuff.
That's all good.
But your story continued to gain excitement.
A little bit.
We'll just start out with some history. So
Okay.
you're from Missouri,
I grew up around Carl Junction.
okay?
Grew up there. My mom and dad had an indoor arena, outdoor roping pen.
So you guys hosted a lot of stuff.
Yeah, mainly my dad traded horses and mules. We got in the mules back in the 80s.
All right.
And he traded coon dogs and stuff like that, but we got pretty good. The mules in the 80s was a big thing.
Was your dad a shoer?
No.
No.
There was an old shoer named Charlie Casey.
Oh yeah,
And
Man, he
he
was-
would come and shoot, which he was old
he was old for 40 years.
when
wasn't he?
when I was a kid.
Yeah, I met him.
And he so at the end of his deal, I mean, he would call and go, "Hey, you want to go help me shoe one?" And we'd go do 2 feet and sit around half the day and then do another foot or two.
Yeah.
And I figured, well, if this is what I want to do, I probably need to go to school. So I enrolled and went to Reggie Kester's down there at Ardmore.
What year did you do that?
I went the end of 84 and graduated in January of 85.
So here we are in 2025,
Yep.
40 years later.
40
and
years.
Still doing it.
Still doing it.
And still doing lots of it.
Wake up every day wanting to go shoe horses.
All right.
And I do quite a few horses a day.
Yeah, you do. So what year were you born?
I was born in 1964.
64. Okay. So you was just over 20
Yeah.
when you started.
Yep.
All right.
I graduated high school and waited that year, and then went down there, got out, and started the business.
Man. And
Met my first wife at Horseshoeing school,
right? Yeah.
and
I remember her.
we was married for a couple of years, and then had a son, and we was married 23 years, and then kind of got divorced and started all over.
Yeah. But now you're married and has a
I'm remarried. Got married in 2010.
So you're 15 years into this
15 years with this one.
one. Wow.
And we just kind of get up and live the dream every day.
And your son's a farrier.
Yes,
Isn't that cool?
yes. And he traveled with me from the time he was little bitty. And then he got out of high school, went to horseshoeing school down at Reggie's down there at Ardmore.
Right.
He come back. He was working with me.
So what year was that? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I really can't.
Probably late 90s.
Yeah, late 90s there, and then he met Pat. There's a big air barn north of Joplin, Bentley's, and they was flying Pat Gallahan in from Arizona to shoe, and he was wanting somebody to come and help local that could be there when he flew in, and then could go put shoes on, do trim, stuff like that.
Take care of service when he wouldn't.
And their friendship really took off, and Jace kind of went in that direction of the Arabs, and one day led to 5 days a week, and then Pat was flying Jace to shows and stuff like that, helping him and stuff like that.
Now that's his deal, isn't it?
And then Pat ended up passing away.
What did he die of? I don't remember.
I think he had a heart problem.
I thought that was it.
And they went in to do I guess, kind of a minor surgery type thing, and he passed away.
On the table.
I don't know if it was at the hospital or after the hospital. I never really sat down with Jace and asked, because him and Pat was very close.
Yep.
And so Jace kind of took over some of Pat's barns and just kind of followed in that area and just has really went on with it.
Yeah. What kind of horses do you mainly shoot, Jace?
My main deal is performance horses.
Performance quarter horse?
Mainly.
Mainly? All right.
Mainly barrel horses, roping horses.
And how do you set up your barrel horses? What's your shoeing strategy? Well, let me ask it this way. I'm a barrel racer. I bring you my horse for the first time. You don't know anything about me or my horse. Do you have like a out of the gate shoeing?
I usually put some type of rim on the front. And then
You have a preferred type of rim?
I prefer the Kirkhart
Okay.
rim.
So does it doesn't have the rolled toe quite much like the
It don't have the roll toe. It's a little wider shoe.
Right.
It's not a heavy shoe. Some of like your con shoe rims,
Pretty
stuff
heavy.
like that, they're more of a concave type.
Right.
And they're heavy.
right.
The girls, they don't like heavy.
Right.
But I have some girls that prefer a St. Croix rim. I've got some that prefer, they've come out with the new rim with the heels on it, the Trek.
Right.
And some of the girls really like that because it's the outer rim's a little higher than the inner rim.
Yeah, like a polo shoe.
And then on the hind, I normally modify a con pre-shaped hind.
Okay, so you get the 3/4 width.
3/4 width, and
Right.
and that lateral branch is a little longer than the medial branch, but I take and crease it around
Okay.
the toe. And that way they got a rim, but them horses can still sit down and work off their bud a little bit if they have to. And then we just go from there. The owners will be going, hey, I need more traction. Hey, I got too much. Hey, I need this. And we just work together on it.
Have you ever tried studs?
I have. I've got a few horses that I put studs in. The main deal with which I like a screw-in stud is getting the owners to take care of that.
Yep.
And not go, oh, I forgot to take them out.
Yep.
Leave them in. Them horses
Cause all
mess around
kinds
and
of-
step on themselves. It's really hard on trailer mats and stuff like that.
Well, it's hard on hawks and
Yeah,
coffin joints.
yeah.
And if they're traveling with them and stuff.
Now, most of my pro people, when they go out on the 4th of July run out west, I will drill and tap everything, my roping horses and barrel horses and stuff, so they can put in the cocks.
So how do you set up like a head horse versus a heel horse?
Well, a lot of my head horses anymore, we shoe the front, we do not shoe the hind.
Oh, really? All right. So
Yeah.
they're getting half sets.
And now the heel horses, we shoe them all the way around, a lot of them.
Are you just doing like plain
Just
St. Croix light plane or a con light plane or whatever?
Yeah.
Right.
And then, and I use a lot of con pre-shaped hinds. I really like that.
Are you using the Kagers or the certifiers or
The
originals?
certifier.
Certifiers.
The C8s.
Yep.
And that shoe, I really like. It's got plenty of nail holes in it. It's safed on the medial side. It's
You know that
it's boxed on the.
that shape. Cody was a big part of that shape.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, 'cause-
I really like the shape.
Yeah.
Especially if I have young guys in the truck, and I can kind of after they've been there a little bit, I just hey, throw this in, pre-shape this, do this, and it's a really easy shoe for them to shape. It's not real hard.
Yeah.
Some horses I can reset them. Some horses I can't. Just depends. They're a little softer.
Yep.
But after I pre-shape on my amble, I use a stall jack
Right.
at the horse, and they're a very good shoe for that.
Yep.
They're halfway soft and
Well, Jason Road Trammel, do you know him?
yes,
Yeah. So whenever he was putting that together, he was coming up with Cody. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
Cody's the one that came up with those lines where you could dial in a half size smaller.
oh yep, and,
Yeah.
and see, I really like that.
Yeah, it's a nice,
and especially
nice feature.
with young guys in the truck.
Right.
I can just say, hey, go grind this to the line,
Yep.
and the heel is shaped. If you just hand them a shoe and go, hey, go grind that eighth off that heel.
They get creative, don't they?
Oh, it comes back as a point or upside down heel.
Or they're grinding inside the toe somehow. You're like, how did you
Yeah,
even get
it's
that?
like, how did that happen? And then I catch myself pulling my Sharpie out of the box and drawing a line going, hey, go grind to that line. Where this way here, I can just go, hey, go grind that medial heel to the line, you know, to the half line.
Do you ever go watch a barrel horse and decide to change something?
I do. First, we talk to the owner, and I'll go, hey, you know, I feel that he needs a little more grab. More than likely, the girls want too much grab.
Right.
And, you know, it's like, okay, he's not getting to work on his back end. He's wanting to sit down and slide around that barrel, and now he's pegging a little bit. And then he ends up getting sore in the hocks and stifles. It just
Right.
manifests throughout the leg.
Yeah, there's such a fine line there.
And then I've got people that just, they read the article and go, hey, I want to try this, and we do it. and as long as I don't think it'll hurt the horse,
Right.
you know, I'm like, okay, he's yours, let's give it a try. You
Yeah.
know, we won't know unless we try. And I've had people call me the next day and go, okay, that ain't working. We got to take it off.
Yeah, yep.
And I go, well, and they're like, well, you told me, but they read an article, so they got to try it.
Yeah.
You know, and they do the same thing with bits, you know, and I do tell the owners, I'm not the one riding him. You are. You need to give me your input on this.
Yep.
You know, and we go from there. One of the only advantages of being your own boss in this business is you get to work for who you want to work for.
That's
And I will not work for anybody I don't want to work for.
yeah, I agree.
I just, you know, if I have 200 clients, I have 200 bosses that I have to make happy.
Right. But you also have 200 people you like, or you
And
wouldn't be there.
I only want to work for people that I like.
Yep, yep.
You know. Now, I know a lot of the guys that shoot for trainers, they don't deal with the owners. They only deal with the barn manager, the trainer. And there's not a personal connection there. Where me, I've been here in the same area, shooting for 40 years. So I'm on my third generation of families, you know.
Right.
I've shot for grandpa, mom and dad, the kids, and they've got kids now. And you get to know them very well.
Oh, sure.
You're part of the family,
Yep.
you know. And
Which is good and bad, because it's a little difficult to go up sometimes.
it is really hard on the charging part,
Right.
Because you know them so well, and their kids are trying to junior rodeo, and they're pulling the big truck and trailer, and I know it costs a lot of money.
Yep.
So it's, you know, you go up and it's like, well, I'll hold off on them a little bit.
Right.
And if you do that very long, then they're stuck down here.
Well, and when you retire, they're not going to send you a check.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to be able to make a living and have to be able to set yourself up for the end of
Absolutely.
this.
And that's where the business side of this, when I started this, most of the horseshoers in this part of the country was part-timers. Mm-hmm. They worked a regular job.
Right.
Then they shot of the evening.
2-3 horses every
or
night.
on the weekend.
Yep.
There was only just Charlie Casey was the only full-time shooter in this part of the country.
Wow.
And then there come along, you know, several of the other guys. But I decided when I was going to do this, I was going to do this as a business.
So whenever you got out of school, did you go full time?
Yeah,
Right then.
I just was full-time.
Have you
like
had-
to starve to death the first year.
Have you ever had another job?
No. I worked for my dad. My mom and dad owned a pest control company.
Okay.
And traded horses. And I worked for them all through junior high and high school.
But after you started shooting horses, you never had another job.
No.
I'll be dang.
I've never done nothing else.
So you didn't have to go flip burgers. You didn't have
I've
to
never
go.
done nothing else.
I'll be dang.
I get to go play cowboy. I shoot for enough people, and when they're gathering cattle or something or shipping cattle, I can load my mule and I can go do
Right.
what I want and
Well,
play.
you used to be quite the roper, huh?
I used to rope quite a bit, me and my brother.
Yeah.
We used to rope calves, and then we got into team roping.
And do you rope at all now?
No, not much, other than just going and catching one.
Yeah.
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 My shoulders got to hurting, and I kind of had to weigh that.
Right.
Do I tear it up playing, or do I tear it up working?
Right.
And I decided.
Now,
I'd
have
rather
you
shoot
set
horses.
yourself up for retirement?
Yes.
So you got a
I have retirement,
Fund.
different plans.
Okay.
You know, different stuff. A really good friend of mine's an Edward Jones guy that I've shot for 40 years, and he kind of guided me in different directions and stuff like that.
nice. So. Well, that's pretty cool. But you don't plan to retire.
I do not as of right now.
Yeah, yeah.
And I wake up every day wanting to go shoot horses.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's an awesome thing, huh?
They I feel sometimes, I mean, everybody has a bad day. You get a bad horse or they throw 6 extra horses in on you at the end of the day, and
That's the worst.
And it's just a hard day. But for the most part, I've not really had to work my whole career.
Right.
I mean, if I want to shoe a horse in 25 minutes, I shoe a horse in 25 minutes. If I want to shoe a horse in hour and 25 minutes, I'd take an hour and 25 minutes. And now most time I have to get around them pretty fast.
Right.
Because I've got so many.
Yeah. What do you do with bad horse? What if you get 3-year-old, they can't hardly get around? What do you do?
I really don't have. I've had 2 horses in my whole entire career that I could not get shod.
Okay.
Out of hundreds of thousands of horses.
Yeah.
I've had 2. I had a lady that had a yellow horse. I shod the front feet, and she could not hold it for me to pick a hind foot up. It would just jump forward, kind of run her over. And she had never tied this horse. And she's like, my husband will be home Friday. He can hold her. So I load my stuff. I go back Friday, and the whole yard, there's like 40 vehicles in the yard. I pull in, I'm thinking, well, man, I'm going to have an audience today. And I go knock on the door, and a lady comes to the door, and I said, well, is Miss So-and-so here? And she's like, oh, she passed away. Oh. I was there on a Tuesday, and she passed away on a Wednesday.
Oh, man.
So I never went back.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Arnold Pettit had a sorrel horse that I got 3 shoes on, and I just couldn't get the 4th on. And and this is back in the 80s.
He has some rank stuff.
We gave him, he had 9 or 10 cc's of ace in him, 6 or 7 cc's of rompum, and we just couldn't get it done. And back in them days, we had Denny Bowman and Jackie Buttram had Thunderbolt Rodeo production, and they buffed out horses and bulls. And I asked Arnold, we were standing there against the fence, and this horse had just beat us both up bad, And he goes, I said, how's he ride? He goes, not any better than his shoes. And I said, well, why are you even, well, I thought maybe his feet was hurting him. And I called Denny Bowman, and I said, hey, Arnold's got this sorrel horse up here, and he'll dang sure buck. He goes, well, we'll try him. He said, but I said, well, he's got 3 shoes on. He goes, we can't have no shoes on his hind feet.
Oh, you doing all that work, now you got to pull them?
So I took my shoe pullers, and I just popped it one time, and man, he just kicked me down. But I'd got enough distance between the shoe and the hoof. I took some baling wire and run it through there and made a ring. And snapped the lead rope to it, tied it to the gate post, and turned him loose. And he run off and just pop, and popped it off. But and he dang sure bucked. They bucked him. They used to buck him out Thursday night at Royalty Arena.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Every week they had them bull buck outs, and they bucked that horse out, and he dang sure bucked. Made her a nice little bareback horse.
Okay.
So them are the only 2 horses that I never could get shoes on.
All right.
That I honestly tried hard, but I just don't have no trouble.
So what do you do now? Do you just never ever have a bad horse?
I just knock on wood.
Surely you have a customer who buys a 3-year-old barrel horse. It's crazy.
Most of my clients will not tolerate it.
Okay.
So if I have a client that has a bad horse, I have them meet me at the vet.
So you have fixed this problem either by making them have to pay
Early
so
on.
much, or you're working for people that are not going to put you in that situation. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. When I got out of horseshoeing school, Cecil White was one of the largest horse traders in this part of the country.
There was a lot of sales going on.
And I shod thousands of horses for him. And I was by myself, me and my ex-wife, my wife at the time, Laura.
Did she shoe much?
She did when we first got out of school, but she held horses for me, and we just learned how to get around them horses.
Okay.
By ourselves. And I got really handy with leg rope, stuff like that. I never was much on twitching one.
Right.
Twitching one, you better be really fast and pay attention, because usually after just a minute, 6 minutes, whatever, they blow up.
Yep.
They either paw the handler or kick you down or something.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of warning either with a
No,
twitch.
it's just instantaneous blow up.
Yeah.
And shooting them 8, 9, 10-year-old horses that had never been shod, I just kind of learned how to get around them. And I shoot, and I'm able to shoot a foot one-handed that high off the ground.
Right. Yeah, so you, even if he's old and crippled, you can keep him comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the main thing is go to the anvil, have everything pre-shaped pretty good, so it don't take much. So you're only under him just minutes.
Right. Well, and back in those days, there was no pre-shaped, at least.
No, nothing.
First time I saw a pre-shaped shoe, I was like, my goodness, this is a discovery,
Yeah, we had diamond shoes.
Yep.
And Cooper nails.
Yep.
And I bought the nails by the bulk.
Yep.
You take a dipper and just dip them out in a sack, however many pounds of nails you wanted.
Yeah.
And like you said, there was no pre-shaped.
Yep.
And
So a lot of guys, me included, we would shape them at home.
Yep.
And so you'd have your fronts and hind pile.
Yep.
And oftentimes you'd have one that was just about right for that foot,
Yeah. And when I got out, there was Web City Hardware,
Okay.
and they had barrels of shoes, and they had a bunch of the diamond E-heels.
E-heels.
They was a pointed shoe, and they come around and the heels was extended.
Oh, okay. So they were like a hot shoe that you were supposed to cut off or whatever.
You could cut them off or turn heel cocks on them.
Or was there enough to make a bar shoe?
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
And but they was pretty pointed in the toe, so you had to really modify it to make it fit a front foot.
Yep.
But it worked really good on hind foot.
Yeah.
And that was the first kind of pre-shaped shoe I ever used.
Was it Broncos or Classics with the diamonds?
They was classics.
Classics, yeah, because that Bronco had a little bit better front toe
Yep.
when they finally come out.
Yep.
But then by then I was using St. Croix.
The St. Croix had come out, and the St. Croix.
They shaped easier for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was just metallurgy or heat treatment. I don't know if they once you started shaping a few St. Croix, you didn't want to go back to diamond.
Yeah.
At least I didn't.
Yeah. Once I got away from the diamond shoe, I had one lady that wanted the diamond rims, and I'd carry a X amount of diamond rims for just her barn.
Right.
But most all my other clients, I converted over to the St. Croix shoe, and then over the years, they've come out with so many different brands.
There's like 350 styles now.
And when I was younger, we'd go to the shop and I would pre-make a lot of shoes.
Yep.
If I knew.
Now, but by pre-make, are you modifying cake shoes or were you making handmades?
No, I was making handmades.
Okay.
And I may have just turned them in and put some holes and left the heel just blank.
Right.
And then, because I was taught, nobody had a finished heel. We used a Hardy.
A V-Hardy.
And we cut them off.
So I learned how to make shoes from Frank Turley. Remember him?
Yeah.
And in 1990. And I called the steel supply in Pittsburgh, and there used to be a horseshoe school in Girard. You remember that one?
Yep.
Beckdahl.
Yep.
And I called him, and I was looking for 5/16 for 3/4. And he says, we had a bunch at 12-inch long that we had bought for horseshoe school. They didn't pick up. He said, I don't know if you wanted all that shit. You can have it. And I said, well, what's it cost? He said, I don't know. I have to look at the books. Well, they had bought it 20 years before or 15, but I got it for 12 cents a stick.
Oh, yeah.
And so I bought everything they had, and I couldn't really afford it, but it was probably 200 pieces. So I was making all handmades, and I was making a 12-inch shoe with 8 nails in it, and I'd go to the foot, and I'd mark it with a piece of chalk, mark it with a center punch, get a hot, cut the heels off, and that was a handmade shoe in them days.
Yep.
And then I saw Jim Ford make a heel, like made for the foot.
Yeah.
And I didn't make a good one for a long time, but it was it's changed a lot, hasn't it?
Oh, it has. And just a little bit of everything. The rasp designs, and just everything.
Everything. Yeah. Well, and the amount of things we put on now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's incredible.
When I started shooting, I carried a box of double aught, ones, some twos,
Right, and a few triple odds.
and a couple triple lot, and a couple ponies. Because there was ponies when I was a kid,
Or
when,
or a
when I
mule
started.
that just had that little foot.
Yep, and there was a lot of ponies in this country.
Oh yeah.
Not way more than there is now.
Thank God.
Oh yeah, yeah. And which Colin makes a really good mule shoe.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
All right.
And I use him a lot. I do shoe a lot of mules.
Okay.
And,
So do you charge the same for mules, horses?
I charge the same for a pony, mule.
Draft?
No, they go up
Okay. What do you are you double on a draft?
pretty much.
Okay.
Most of I've got, my best friend's got a big pair of blue horses. I go shoe them. There's a lady at Columbus has a big mare that come off a big 6-horse hitch, and I shoe her. And then I've got a client that's got a gild, and I shoe his front feet.
So you don't have a lot of
No.
drafts. All right.
And I charge plenty for them.
Yeah, yeah.
But I really, and I had a set of stocks made just to take to my buddy's house. But they're good. We shoe them just flat-footed, and they're good to do. All these are really good to do, but I don't want to be known as a draft shoer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know, in the stocks for a bad one is okay, but you can't do a good job.
It's really hard.
Yeah, I can't do a good job.
Yeah.
You can do one that's sound. You can get it flat and you can get a shoe on there, but you can't make one that's pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you really got to pay attention, or you hurt yourself.
Oh,
Smash
absolutely.
your fan. And if I take somebody with, and I used to have some of my shod and stocks, and I was always worried when I took help, because if one of them horses blow up in the stocks, they smash things, smash your fingers,
Yep.
you know, stuff like that. And I don't want to be known that. Let the Amish guy show 'em.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Well, we charge double for drafts and we charge the same for full size horse and pony, but I've often thought we ought to charge more for pony.
Yeah.
They're more work than big horse.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And most of them little ponies, if they weighed 1,000, we couldn't handle them.
Oh, yeah. No kidding.
I
Yeah.
trimmed some little minis yesterday, and man, I mean, if they was very big, it'd take 3 men and a boy to hold them, because they're just
wicked.
rank, and
Yeah.
and I'm like, man,
You know, you're putting that size one pony on a horse that size, and you're going to get nails jerked through your hand.
Oh, yeah,
You just know it, you know. It's just-
absolutely.
yeah. Well, you do a lot of eventers as well, right?
I used to do a lot of eventers.
Okay.
That's kind of, I've got some 3 cross country horses right now, but I'm probably down to 3 different barns, and that's it.
What do you put on your cross country horses?
It just depends, but everything's drilled and tapped, clipped.
You charge a lot more for drill and tap.
Yeah.
And how about borium? Do you much borium?
I don't. I do put some borium on some. I got a buddy of mine that's got some wagon horses, stagecoach
Okay.
horses,
Yep.
and we'll put a little drill tech on them and drive-in studs.
Okay.
I kind of like the drive-in studs.
Yep.
They're a little cleaner, and
Oh yeah, a little easier.
yeah.
So I'm going to do a video eventually of how would your horseshoer shoe his own horse. And so the way I shoe my horse is concave shoe, quarter clips, and then a medium borium that it's just barely above the rim.
Yep.
In the toe and at the heel. So I have the wearability so I can use that shoe forever.
Yep.
And I have just enough traction if we are on rocks that but if she stood on a piece of wood or
It really couldn't tell.
right, it's not so for me that's the ideal shoeing, but the customer would be spending an extra $30-$40 every time, so a lot of customers aren't going to do that.
Yeah.
But that's how I shoe my mare.
Yeah. Now I do have some horses, and they make a little, what is it, a 3/16 pin.
Right.
And if I have a horse that say is wearing the medial toe really bad, I'll put a pin in it
Okay.
and just let that pin take that.
Yeah.
And keep it from rolling real bad.
Yep.
Because they're easy. I can just drill a hole, drive them in, and stuff like that. I do have a few that I do put the drill tech on a little bit, kind of like that. But I'm not much on the reset deal, so
Yeah.
I really don't care about, because I have no price difference between reset
No, I don't either.
and new and
So how do you shoe your own horse?
my own horses, I run a rim shoe on the front, and I run a con pre-shaped hind on the back.
You crease to the toe?
And one I crease around the toe, the other I don't. And then I ride a mule, and I just put con mule shoes on him. No grill tech, no pins, no nothing.
Just as they are?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, very cool. With the amount of changes we've seen in our careers, and I'm a few years behind you. I'm 37 years in it. You think we're going to have that many more changes going forward? You think it just keep happening?
You know, I think things will just keep going. I mean, look at the tongs. I got my very first set of diamond tongs, you know, right from school.
And they're kind of a one size fits all, really.
Yeah, nobody knew about a quarter or 3/8 or 5/16. You just grabbed the tongs, and if the handles spread that far, you just squeezed them tighter, you know. And look at the tongs now, the different shape of jaws and the reins on them and stuff. And, you know, my Pritzels was just round
Car spring?
stock.
Was it car spring?
Yeah, there's car springs, and that was one of the projects at Horseshoeing school, you know, and I used them for years, and then all of a sudden, man, they started coming out with fancy shapes and
all the alloys.
Yeah, and
you know,
different metals.
All I ever learned about was carbon stuff. And then now you got H13, S7,
S7 and
O1,
everything
W1.
else.
I had this Pritchell, and it was a diamond, and it said P11. And I couldn't get it hard for nothing. And and Diamond had sold to Cooper Tools, so there was no way to talk to. There's this massive tool company. And I kept searching, and finally I had to tell Danny Ward, because he was a diamond guy.
Yep.
I said, "What in the world is P11? I can't find this alloy nowhere." He said, "Where do you find it?" I said, "Well, right here on this Pritchell." He says, "That stands for Pritchell, 11 inches." Oh man.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Oh, that was you know, because nobody put on clinics about tool maintenance or anything. So you just kind of learned as you went. You know, it's like, oh, I need to reshape that Pritzel. Oh, got that too hot. It sheared off. Or oh, that mushroom, that wasn't good. You know, but nowadays there's so many tool makers and clinics, and some of them guys, they do such an awesome job, you know, on teaching you how to take care of your tools.
oh yeah. Well, and you got quite a bit of money. You know,
Yeah.
there's $130 for a creaser and $250 for a
Yeah.
hammer. So
Yeah.
you got some serious investment in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you still use GE nippers?
I use GE nippers.
Yeah. How long you get out of a pair?
I get a year.
Okay. Well, that's pretty good considering the number of horses you do.
Yeah, but I carry a pair of 14-inch race nippers and a pair of 15-inch
Okay.
classics.
So you get a year for two pair, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I send them off, and I get them sharpened, and then I sell them. I don't get along good with the
Rebuilds.
rebuilds at all.
So you go ahead and spend the money and effort to do it, and then you sell them.
And then I sell them to somebody.
Okay.
I have a list of people wanting nippers.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
You know, but I don't get along with the rebuilds.
Yeah. I have struggled myself. It seems like you get about 25% of what you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've tried iCars, GEs, you know, the old original diamonds was probably the best rebuilds I ever had.
Okay.
But anymore, I had them all turned into half rounds.
Oh.
Now I will have them turned into half rounds and keep them
Right.
and use them.
Yeah.
But the others I just buy new.
Yeah. What kind of nail you drive?
I drive big variety. I drive a lot of Liberty,
Okay. That's a clean nail.
and
Do you have any shearing trouble with them?
no, not really.
Okay. I know they had a lot of trouble
But
with it for a while.
I drive a really high nail. I like a long nail, but I do drive some copper. I like them, and then I have a variety of E heads. You know, Capewell, Liberties, and I try to keep 2 drawers of nails in the truck. So if things ain't going just great and the horse is acting up or something, I go to my truck and I'll pull out my nail drawer and I'll look and see what's in there. Kind of organize it a little bit and let my brain think.
Oh, okay.
So I like a big variety of nails.
So you have
The owners are standing over there. They don't really know what's going on other than I'm looking for a nail.
right. Well, there you go.
So-
now they're gonna know.
But I do. I really like to shop. I like to buy.
Okay. Well, let's take this story. So your wife's a barrel racer
Yep.
and a very good barrel racer.
Yep.
So she went international. Why don't you tell us about that?
She runs. She's old enough to run in the senior stuff, and she done really well last year.
50 and over.
50 and over. She done very well last year. She was in the top 5 or 6 in the United States, and she got asked to go to Panama and run barrels at the Pan Am Games. And Lance Graves, which is a big-time barrel trainer, fraternity guy down in Oklahoma, and Sheila and Lance and a group of them went to Panama.
But Sheila and Lance were the American riders.
Yes, they was the 2 competitors for the U.S. And
Now, did they have to pay an entry fee to go down?
yes, and I don't know what all between airfare, hotels, entry fees, horse mount fees, and all that. I mean, it's just kind of all in there. But they went to Panama and run barrels for 3 days, and they end up 4th out of 20-some countries.
And every country had 2 people.
Yes.
So-
And from Australia, Germany, Panama, Brazil.
But they didn't take their horses.
No, the hosting country has to furnish the horses.
So, and I asked you this: if you were hosted it, would you bring your best horse?
No, I would not.
And so, do you think the Panamanians had a different spirit and they brought their best horse?
I really don't know, because the way I understand the horses, there was a wide variety of styles of horse.
Right.
Some of them looked like, they called them native horses that was born and raised there in Panama. It's kind of their own unique little horse.
Okay.
And then they had some quarter horses that come from Brazil, that was brought in, and there was every shape, size, conformation, style of horse, and some of them was not built to really run barrels.
And was some of them not broke very well?
They was not trained like you would think our barrel horses here in the United States are.
All right. So what a deal, huh? And so, did they have to draw for the horse they ended up with?
They had a morning session, an evening session each day, and each country would draw a number for what horse that they drew. And they only had 10 or 12 horses, so they got rode multiple times. So some of them horses got rode 5, 6, 7 times over a couple day period.
Okay.
So
there's 20 countries, there's 40 competitors.
Yeah.
But there wasn't 40 horses.
no.
Okay,
There
all
was 10 or 12.
So was there one horse that won just about every time?
There was a couple nice horses. Lance Graves had the fastest time. Sheila, I know on the native horse, what they called the native horse, she ended up having the fastest time out of all the competitors on that horse.
Okay.
They don't get to take none of their tack or nothing. They have to ride what tack is on that horse.
And were they Western saddles?
Some of them was Western, some of them was barrel saddles, and some of them looked like a pleasure-looking saddle.
But nobody ended up with the English saddle or Argentine with a
or
sheepskin.
Mongolian-looking
All
saddle,
right, all
nothing like that. But they was allowed to get on, adjust the stirrup and the reins, get off, and then they would say, "Okay, you're 3 minutes," and then they could get on and ride for 3 minutes and then make a run.
Man.
And so
What a
they
deal,
just
huh?
jump rode. Every session they jump rode different horses.
But you didn't get to go.
I did not go. I chose to stay home. I really enjoy watching my wife run barrels, but I don't care to watch 100 other people run barrels. And I go to barrel races so I can go to town and go shopping.
What do you shop for?
Everything, just whatever. I just like going.
So are you talking shoes and purses? Or?
Guns, tack, art. I like going to art museums and
Really?
art shows. I love buying art.
What kind of art? Sculptures or?
Just whatever I see that I like.
I'll be dang. I didn't know that about you.
I like going to Walmart, just shopping at Walmart too. I just enjoy going and looking and doing, and I'm one of them that go up and down every aisle. And
So if you go to Walmart and grocery shop, does it take you an extra 10 minutes? Because you're...
I can't go to Walmart less than an hour.
No kidding.
I have to go up and down every aisle, through the whole store. Sheila's not happy about that.
So is it a little bit of like an OCD thing?
Pretty much.
All right. And what about going to a trade show?
I have to go through it multiple times, and I'm kind of like a bass. If it's shiny, I'm caught. So yeah, I just like to look and do and you know. But I like museums. We love going to museums and
Okay.
and you know, just try to do and learn
Learn and go.
everything I can.
Well, that's kind of interesting about you, Jace. I didn't know that.
Yeah, but I do like to shop.
And do you shop a lot on Amazon?
I do not. I want to touch and look at it and see
Okay.
what it is.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not much on buying online and stuff. I buy a lot of stuff from Well Shod. I order a lot of stuff.
No, we used to get it all from the Amish. That's kind of changed, hasn't it?
I do. I still go. The Amish place that was at Seymour, the Swartz family,
Is now Sunrise.
is at Sunrise.
Right.
And Jacob and them are the best.
Very nice
I
people.
mean, they are really, really nice. And but I buy a big majority of my shoes and nails there,
Okay.
and like rasp and stuff. But I go through a rasp I put it on every 50 horses, so that's every 3 days.
You get 50 horses at rest. You sharpen them?
I do buff them.
Okay, all right.
And but every 3 days I'm putting a new rasp on. During the summer every 2, and so I buy boxes and boxes of rasp, and like I go up there and I'll buy 10 boxes of each size of shoe I need. I'll come home with 50, 60 boxes of shoes.
Yep.
And I go there every 3 weeks,
Right.
every 4 weeks. So.
Well, you remember Elizabeth at the Amish?
Yep. Elizabeth, very, very healthy girl,
She was stout, huh?
and extremely nice.
Oh, yeah, wonderful people.
I've seen her pick up 3 boxes of like the Delta shoes, the square boxes.
Yeah.
I've seen her just reach down and pick up 3 and go to the truck and set them on the truck.
One on each side and one in the middle.
One on each side and one in the middle.
Right.
And I can do that.
Oh, you can?
I can't walk very far, but I can just pick them up a little bit. But she can pick them up and carry them. I seen her and her sister move 400-pound anvils one day.
Yeah. Well, her dad's Big Sam.
Big Sam.
And, he had that big rupture.
Yep.
And he just got surgery. And I had in class there. He said, "Hey, let me show you my anvil." And he went and grabbed that big 400-pounder and turned around with it.
Yeah.
And he just had that surgery.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, man.
Yeah, they moved a lot of stuff by hand.
Oh man.
Lots and lots of stuff by hand.
Big boned.
Big, built to work.
Yeah. What do you think her feet were? What size?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if I've ever seen her in shoes.
No, I know, but it's a.
Yeah.
I mean,
She had a
stout.
really good foundation to stand on.
Yep.
And just a sweetheart.
One of the nicest
Yeah.
girls.
Yeah, she was. I would go up there, and they always have a beautiful garden there, right set beside the driveway by the shop, and I would take pictures with my phone, and then I would go to town, and I'd have Walmart print them off, and then the next time I was up there, I'd give them to her.
Oh, nice.
And she really liked that.
Oh yeah. Well, and they were always so happy to see you.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Just
And,
yeah. I miss that.
I do.
I miss that.
You know, and we do have a lot of Amish, different variations of Amish
Right.
around here, and that is one thing I think we've lost a little bit in our society.
Oh, yeah.
Is the family just being nice to people, just trying to help, and they're never in a hurry.
No.
They're never in a hurry.
Well,
And-
they don't have they don't have these phones, you know.
Yeah, that time does not mean nothing to them.
Right.
If they don't get it done today, and it gets dark, then they just go to bed and they get up and do it tomorrow. And
Right.
nobody fusses and none of that. And we've lost that in our society a little
Absolutely.
bit.
Yeah, I like that saying, when the phone was tied to the wall, man was free.
Yeah.
And because it really was. If you,
Oh, absolutely. When I started my business, I had a voice recorder. There was a
with a tape at your house.
Yeah.
Right.
And, if somebody called during the day needing a horse shod, when I got home that night, I'd listen to the voice recorder and it'd say, hey, Joe Solinger, I need 2 horses done. And if I got home early enough, I would call him. If it was after a certain hour, you didn't call nobody
After 9.
At 9 o'clock.
Yeah, that was our deal. After 9, we
After
did call.
9 o'clock. And then you'd call tomorrow and you'd set him up and your day was not disturbed by the phone at all.
Right.
Well,
Well, and also they expect you to leave a message. They expect you to call that night or the next day.
Yeah.
And then they would wait for that, and then
Yep.
they would schedule.
Yep.
Where now, if they don't get you within an hour, they're calling the next one.
yeah.
But I find myself doing that too a little bit. Like I need my oil change,
Yeah.
and I call the mechanic, and he can't answer. He doesn't answer, whatever. Then
Yeah. Yeah, when
So
I
it's-
need tires,
right,
I just go to call until I find a place that's got tires.
Right.
Right, that day.
right.
They go, well, we can have them shipped in tomorrow. No, I got time to have tires put on today.
Right.
We're doing it
So,
today.
so I'm just as guilty as my.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's
I do try to stay off my phone. I don't. I do set work up if I'm in between. I got the boys doing something, and somebody calls. I'll say, "Well, here, let me walk to the truck, and I'll do something." But a lot of times, I wait till in the evening before I answer my calls.
right. Well, I shut my phone off at 8, and I don't answer it. And I get up pretty early. And if somebody has texted me at 11, I'll go ahead and text them at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah,
But for the most part, from 8 to 8, I don't answer text or phone calls.
Yeah.
And so I start at 8 in the morning. I'll answer, and usually at 8 at night I shut it off and give myself some peace.
and which there's like last night. I shot till midnight last
know.
night, and
I don't. First of all, I don't know how
well, I shot 12 by myself at a show barn yesterday
during the day.
During the day, and then I got home and there's an indoor arena there by my house. And on Wednesdays, I shoot there Wednesday nights. And I try to schedule people pretty much in order.
Okay, so
but
that
some
Wednesday
people
night
just show up.
It's not a free for all.
No, it used to be a free for all.
I thought so.
And I would show up and there'd be 30 head tied up. And I would shoot till 1, 2 in the morning. And I kind of had to as long as I had help, that didn't bother me. But when I'm by myself, it just got to being too much.
Right.
And so I kind of started having them people call, schedule. And if they call that day, they're probably not getting in.
Right.
They need to, call
They set
for
it up.
next week or
Right.
2 weeks from now. But I have been limiting it down. I done 12 yesterday and 12 last night.
That's amazing.
But I did have help at Lucky J. I had a boy show up.
Whenever you have help, what do you have your help do?
Well, I don't have any help right this minute.
Okay, so like everybody who has help, they usually have a rule. Like I do all the trimming or whatever. What's your rule?
My rule is they pull shoes.
Mm-hmm.
They clean the foot. They don't prep the foot.
Do they do any knife work?
I don't. It depends. After they've been with me a while,
They can do some
then they get
frog.
to doing knife work and stuff like that. But when they first start out, they pull shoes. They wire brush the foot. If it's a reset, they go to the truck. They wire wheel the shoe down, whatever. Most of them, when I first started, they can't even level a shoe on the anvil. They don't,
Right.
They just can get a shoe off, get it clean, and then I trim and I put it on. And then usually I'll finish. But then as them boys get more, then if they come out of school or if they've been traveling with somebody and they can finish, then I'll have them pull and finish.
So the boy last night that helped you, what did you have him do?
He pulled and finished, and then he done one trim.
Okay, so he's at a level.
Yeah, he worked for me for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
And he had an opportunity to take a cowboy job.
And he's always wanted to be a cowboy.
And that's his lifestyle and stuff. So he's doing that, and I've not really found nobody yet.
If you were setting up an apprenticeship, how does that work? Do you charge them to start with, or?
It's one of them deals. It's hard to find somebody that'll work for nothing.
Right.
So I start them out so much ahead.
Okay, so they're
Per
getting a
horse.
percentage.
Yes.
All right.
And as they progress, they make more money.
Okay.
And so, and I've took on some guys that like come out of school that was pretty handy, and I talked to them whether they want paid so much a day or so much a horse. Most of the guys, I do enough horses, they'd rather get paid by the horse.
That's
they
what I
make
was
more
thinking.
money.
Yeah.
But I've had guys that I just paid $200 a day and just go on, and then I have other guys that they make $400 a day.
Right. Well, if you did 24 head yesterday,
Yeah.
and where do you get to shoot a horse now?
I thank you all very much for listening and watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, this episode is being brought to you by Gregory's Textbook of Farriery. Doesn't matter if you're a vet, a farrier, or want to be, so you're a student, or even if you're just a horse interested person and you want to know more about what it takes to have good feet and what it takes to be a good farrier. So this is a textbook. It came out in 2011. It's an award-winning textbook. It's received awards from the American Farrier Association. It is used and is full around the world. It's available in Spanish. 3,400 color photos. A lot of information, a lot of pathologies. I think you get a lot of good out of it. I wrote this book so that I could teach out of it. It is not written to impress a veterinarian. So it's kind of real world language directed at you, and I think you're going to enjoy it. You can find it at Amazon. You can find it at almost any farrier supply. You can find it at heartland, and I thank you very much.
I get 150 for just 4 keg shoes.
Yeah. So you $3,600 yesterday, something like that.
Yeah.
Man, it was a lot of work though.
It is, but I really don't look at it as work. I really don't. And I never look at it at the money side.
Right. You do what you love, and the money's a bonus.
Yeah, and I'm not the person for some family members, if their kids ask me, about what to do in life and all that, I'm one of them that tell them, go do what you want to do. Because if you really want to do it, the money does not matter.
Right.
Because it'll fall in place.
If you really want to do it, you'll get good at it.
Yeah.
And if you get good at it, then
Yeah. You know what? And I've known some horseshoers over the years, and they hated their job.
Yep.
They done it because of the money, and their work showed.
and they were miserable.
Yeah, and they hated it, and they would whoop on them horses, and they just dreaded everything they ever done. And I'm like, why? If you don't enjoy this, don't do it.
Yeah.
And because it shows in your work.
Yep.
Now, when I first started, I mean, there was moments it was like, on some of them trading horses, like I just want to get 4 shoes on him. I might get 5 nails in this foot and 8 nails in the other, but I got shoes on, and then I started, like I said, running it like a business and I got clients that wanted to have a better quality of horse, better quality of shoer, that type of deal.
Which is what you got now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I really don't take any new clients right now. I
You
do
just-
some veterinarian work.
Do you just tell them no, or how do you handle it?
Most of the time I just tell them no.
Okay.
If I have somebody in the truck, like Nick Norbury that went through your school, I hold him for a while, and I recommend some work, to him.
Right.
That type deal. But so many of these guys, they'll hop in the truck, they'll ride a little bit, and they're like, oh, I'm going on my own, or they'll move away or whatever. And
No, figure's not for them.
yeah. And and it ain't for everybody.
Oh, absolutely not. Well, not everybody is made to be self-employed,
Yeah.
and not everybody's made to work as hard as a horseshoer has to work.
Yeah. And I have found that, when it's 100, you got to go work. When it's 10, you got to go work. And now I don't work in the rain.
Okay.
If it's raining, I take a rain day, and unless I've got a big barn, or
Inside.
or something like that. But I'll take a rain day in a heartbeat.
And what about a temperature?
That really don't bother me.
Okay, so you don't mind shoeing at 10 degrees.
No,
My hands hate.
I haul propane heaters with me.
Okay.
And I've got several heated barns.
Right.
So say if I know it's going to be really miserable cold
can just schedule that
on
one.
Tuesday or Monday, then I'll schedule that barn and I'll move some stuff around. And I've got several heated barns.
Okay.
So I luck out there. I go to the clinic on Tuesdays. I've got 2 heaters down there. I mean, and it stays pretty good.
Yeah.
But now I've been in this long enough now, it don't take much for me to go, I want to take a day off.
Yeah. Well, I've been trying to stay in touch with you since we did the last one, and I messed it up, and so I wanted to get you again, and then I was trying to get hold of you last week. You weren't really available.
No, I was in the hospital.
Yeah. So what the heck? You're like the picture of health. What happened?
I normally have high blood pressure, and
Is that a familial thing? Like
I've had it for years.
Okay.
You know what? I'm normally up in the 140 over 90. And my regular physician had moved away, so I got a new doctor, and they was a little concerned about the blood pressure being that high, and they went to put me on different medication. And over the last few months, I've just steadily got higher blood pressure and more pills and doubling up on pills and stuff like that. And I end up thinking I was having a heart attack.
And you're headed to Dr. Marcos.
I was headed to the vet clinic, and I'd had a headache for about a week, a really severe headache. And I get them when my blood pressure gets over about 150, 155.
Do you get migraines?
No, not really.
Okay, so this is a blood pressure related headache, which is different.
And it's always in the same spot, the back of my head, and I can take my blood pressure, and it'll be, if I have a headache, it's 150 over 110.
Oh man!
So the doctor was trying to work with me, and she's like, "Well, take this. Here I'm going to call in this prescription," and I was headed to the vet clinic, and I'd left the house that morning. I had a headache, and all of a sudden I was driving, and it just felt like somebody just sat on me, and I could not get no air. I couldn't take a deep enough breath to get enough oxygen, and I was fighting that a little bit, and I'm rolling the windows in the truck down, and then my left arm kind of went tingling a little bit, and I'm having a heart attack. So I turned around and went back to a hospital and called my wife, and she met me there, and they went to running all kinds of tests, and I did not have a heart attack. My blood pressure was just really, really high.
What was the number when you got there?
It was 255 over 125.
Man, so that could like rupture stuff, right?
Yes, but my heart rate was down to 36, and so they hooked me up, and they went to run a test, and it would get up to 260 over 140, and then they'd get it back down to 140 over 80.
Will they get it down with medicine?
They'd give me medicine, get it down.
Okay.
And then 2 hours later, it was climbing again, and it just was very unstable for the first couple days.
Wow.
And then they got it stabled, but I had to stay in the hospital until I had a normal blood pressure and heart rate for 24 hours or whatever. And so I ended up spending most of the week in the heart deal at Mercy Hospital.
A little boring?
It got very boring. After I caught up on my rest and sleep and my blood pressure got right, I walked the halls a lot, and there just wasn't nothing.
Were you able to get dressed, or were you walking halls in your gown?
I had a gown, but I did have some bright colored shorts on.
So you were
trunks underneath.
You were styling.
Yeah, I was styling.
All right.
I had them light blue socks on with little grippies.
So now are you okay?
I am. This week here, I feel better than I have in months. My blood pressure's good. My heart rate's good. And I think it was just the medication. Some of it was once I felt like I couldn't get no air. I kind of had a panic attack, you know,
Well, rightly so.
because it kind of felt like I was drowning.
Man,
The mind can do amazing things or it can do bad things, and that bad thing was I can't breathe, you know. But all that's good now. I'm back to shooting horses. They told me to take it easy, so I've been trying to stay under.
you did 24 head yesterday.
I was trying to take it easy. You know, with help, I average anywhere between 85 and 100 horses a week.
Man,
Now that's counting trims, half shoons.
still, that's pretty crazy numbers.
Lots of horses.
That's a lot of horses.
And I've done lots of horses my whole career.
There's always been a big volume in it.
Yep. I ease around them really good. I have my routine. The tools go in the same spot in my box. I can close my eyes and pick up tools. And
So what's your routine? Do you have a like left front, left hind, or do you go left front, right front?
if I shoot by myself, I shoot the left front, right rear, left rear.
Okay.
I do the fronts and the backs. And I always said that because that way if I got kicked on the back, at least the fronts was done. But if I have help, the boys pull the shoes. Most of them, I teach them to pull the left front, the left rear, the right front. So they'll mark them that away, clean them, and then they lay them in my box in that order, and I'll shoe that away.
Okay.
And most of these horses I have shod for years and years and years. So it's pretty much a routine. So, you know, they'll go to the like Tucker, the boy that just quit me. I mean, he got really handy. So he could do a lot of the prep work because we would bring, you know, if I went to a barn and we had 6 horses, we tied 6 horses up.
So he just stayed ahead of
And
you.
he just stayed ahead of me,
Right.
you know. And
Well, did he get to the point where he was doing knife work and all that?
he knifed the frog, you know, pair out the foot a little bit, clean the bars up. He got to the point he knew, oh, this foot needs this or this foot needs that or whatever.
And he could tell what was reset, what was new shoes?
Yeah, and he didn't have to ask. He didn't go, hey, do we need to reset? Can we reset this or does he need new? But I've had guys in the truck that like Nick that come out of the school, you know.
Is he still shoeing?
He still should. He helps my son.
Right. I knew that.
Quite a bit, and you know, which I hauled him before he went to school, so I kind of went through the
bad part.
the bad part, and then sent him to school. You know, he went to your school, and but like he can come out and we can hop in the truck and we can go shoot horses, and do a lot of horses, and he don't have to ask and
Right.
you know, stuff like that. He knows, well, he just fixed this foot. He knows it wears a double aught, you know, so
Well, he got his own shoeing practice already.
yeah,
So
yeah. And we send work to him, so
Yeah.
it's kind of nice. I do enjoy hauling the beginner type person in the truck. It kind of makes me go back to the basics. You know, just showing them different things on the amble or on the foot. So kind of gets me back. I really don't want to be a teacher, but I am a little bit. And
Well, a teacher with 1 or 2 is different than
yes, yeah.
20.
And like us, if I'm at a barn and it takes us all day for them to figure out how to pull a clip, it's okay, you know. Every free moment they get, they can go to the truck and
play with it.
play. And we don't go to the next step till they figure that out.
Right.
You know, that type deal. And so it kind of gets me back to the basics
Yeah.
a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's nice to have company sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you're hurt, like
Absolutely.
if your blood pressure would have got a little more serious or a different spot,
Yeah.
it might have been important to have somebody.
Absolutely.
Do you remember what you charged to shoot a horse in 1985?
When I got out of school, it was $18.
Full set.
For a full set of shoes was $18. A trim was $8 or $9. And I wasn't there just right out of school. the first couple months I charged that, and then I went to 20 and 10.
Did you have a different price for resets?
Back then I did.
Yeah, it was common, wasn't it?
It was very common. And I had a client come to the barn one day and wanted to know if I would pull these shoes off of this horse and put them on this horse. And I, at that time, I said, yeah. And then it was like, the next time I show up, he had a bucket full of old shoes and wanted me to go through the bucket of shoes to nail on a horse. And I'm like, I ain't doing this just for a reset price. And that ended the difference between a reset and a new.
Oh, okay. Well, so I charge the same as well. And I had a client one time that just demanded new shoes every time. So then I did have to have a new price for new shoes and resets. Yeah. And so my regular price, I think at the time was like $85. And she was like, well, I got to have new shoes every time. I said, okay, well, new shoes is $100 then. Yeah. Instead of...
Yeah, I never really run into that. I did have a client that always wanted new shoes. And I'd throw them in the forge and
clean them up.
And pull them out and wire brush them down and nail them on. And because you can still see the maker's mark on the toe. And,
right.
And she just was happy with that, you know.
Well, and it would have been one thing if that lady would run her shoes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's
yeah.
And I'm not selling shoes. It was I promise these shoes will get you to the next shoeing.
Yeah.
And if they don't, then yeah, we'll do something different. But yeah, I started in '87. I was getting 23 for full set, 18 for reset, and 12 for trim. And it was everybody else around there in Iola, Kansas was 25. Yep. And I thought, well, I'm just starting. I can't be that good. I'll just do a little less.
Yeah. You know, and that pricing deal, like we said a little earlier, it's really hard to charge clients.
Especially when they become friends.
Yeah. You know, you've watched their daughter grow up, watched her get married. Then she's got kids and, you know, you just know the whole family, you know, all the drama. It is hard.
Yep.
Luckily, I'm past that point now that I just kind of set a rate and go. And my clients, they just know every couple of years I'm going to go up. But when I was younger, it was hard to go up.
You're also at a point where you maybe don't need the money as bad as you did when you were 40.
Yeah.
So it also changes it, doesn't
Absolutely.
it? Yeah.
You know, but the pricing deal, I never really got caught up in it. So-and-so charges this or so-and-so charges that. I sit down, I figure up what I think I need to charge, and that's what I charge. And
do you know what it costs you to show horse?
I haven't figured it up in a while.
Yeah. It's way more than
I used to sit down and figure up every little deal, insurance.
And it was crazy, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. You go to putting in all the little, just everyday stuff. And especially, you know, if you got a truck and you got a stone wheel body on there and you got it stocked, not, you know, the guy driving around in a little S10 pickup with a 5-gallon bucket full of tools and
Different
2
deal.
boxes of shoes, his cost is way, way cheaper than ours.
Yep.
But if you got your truck stocked and, you know, every 2 or 3 days you're calling Wellshot or Nolan at Nature Farms or somewhere and you're ordering stuff all the time, you got to add all that in.
Yep.
You know, every time you put a piece of Forstner's hoof packing under pad, you got to figure that out.
Yep.
You need to know, okay, that jug's that big. I'm going to estimate I can get this much out of it.
Well, your most expensive tool is your rasp.
Yeah.
You know, you get 50 horses. I don't usually get that,
but my good rasp never touches no metal.
Right.
Nothing.
Until it becomes, and you rotate through, right?
Yeah, and see, like most all my horses, yeah, it's on the good side, then it's on the bad side.
Right.
And like, I have no horses that go over 8 weeks. Most all my horses are at 4. The longest is 6. Most of my horses are 4 and 5 weeks.
Yep.
So I'm only cutting off that much.
Well, if you spend $35 on a rasp and you do 35 horses, it costs you $1 a horse.
Yep.
And if you spend $300 on a pair of nippers and it lasts you for,
Yep.
3,000 horses, you got a pennies.
Yep.
It's your hoof knife is pretty cheap. Your apron's pretty
Yep.
cheap, even though they cost more.
Yeah.
Your raft,
Which I have all my aprons made, custom made, so they do cost me a little bit more.
Yep. What do you pay for an apron?
I,
You don't want to tell me?
my last pair cost $1,000.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing.
But I have them custom made, and they got brass, round-headed rivets all over it. And,
Yeah.
And I found a pattern that come out of King Saddlery
Okay.
from the 30s, and it is a blacksmith Farrier. It's more of an apron. It's got big rounded leggings on it and
Okay.
stuff. I used to have like the regular leggings,
But-
and had fringe and all that on it. But the last few pairs been this style. I like this style, and it's a little different than everybody else's.
Yeah. Well, Kelly makes them aprons, and the top apron gets $310. I'm like, hun, you're not making enough money to make aprons.
Yeah, and this guy, he puts he sews like on the patches on this, and is got different styles of horseshoes sewed in on it.
Yeah.
And the last one had like the American flag sewed in on it, and then the one before that had the decks of cards, the
Oh,
clover,
right.
the spade, the diamond, and heart, and so he puts a lot of time in on it.
Right.
And,
Sounds nice.
And when you order custom made stuff, it costs.
Right.
And
How long an apron last you?
I get a couple of years out of them.
Nice. All right. Well, that's pretty good considering how many hours you're wearing it a day.
Yeah. And I've tried, some of the store bought aprons and Battle Creek and them, and they just don't hold up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the canvas ones, since they hot shoe everything,
Yeah.
I end up ruining them. I had some when I was on teams and stuff. You get a team apron, and I just destroy them.
Yeah.
Pretty fast.
I've not ever had any that the silverbacks lasted me the longest as far as
Did they
store.
make your back sore any?
Huh?
Did they make you?
I took the back plate off.
Yeah. So that back plate that a lot of people have on there, you would think that it would be better, but what it does is it moves in position.
It rides up.
Yeah.
And but I had them, and they was really good a winter apron. But I bet I didn't get 6-7 months out of them, 8 months, and they was just tore up.
Yeah.
But
Well, I'm going to shift gears now, and I want you to talk to me about coyote hunting. So
Well-
you're like a tournament coyote hunter.
me and a buddy of mine, we enter a lot of tournaments. We hunt everywhere from here. We hunt the big classic, the championship deal up by Kansas City. We go out in western Kansas. We hit for about 3 months. We hit one every weekend.
That's amazing. And so there's a lot more to it than I thought. So you got a call, and your call's got a dead.
We use electronic calls. We have several different brands of electronic calls.
with lots and lots of different sounds.
with lots of different sounds on them. Some of them's got whirly birds on them. Some of them don't. For a visual effect on them coyotes, we use it different times of the year.
So how does it work? Is there going to be 10 hunters or 40 hunters or what?
Most of the hunts anymore will have 50 to 70 teams
Okay.
show up. Most of them will be 2 to 3 man team.
Okay.
So there's hundreds of guys there hunting. Most of the hunts, you show up on a Friday, you register, you pay your entry fee, and then they go over their rules, what they expect you to do when you shoot a coyote the next day.
Okay.
To try to keep people from cheating. So you go to the meeting, you get all that stuff done. Most of them will give you a deck of cards, a Sharpie, and so many zip ties. And then before the hunt starts the next day on Saturday morning, say it's legal shooting time at 6:42. Okay, before that, we'll get a mass text from whoever's hosting the hunt and say, the first coyote start with the king of spades and go down. So me and Keith say he shoots it, the first coyote of the morning. We'll write down his name, what time, whatever the hunt people want us to put on that card.
Okay.
And you put the card in their mouth and zip tie it. Coyote's rigor mortis sets in really fast. And if the coyote dies and once rigor mortis sets in with his mouth open, it don't matter how many zip ties you put on there. As soon as you cut it, his mouth is going to open. So they'll know that coyote died yesterday.
Okay.
Or the day before. You put a card in there, zip tie it. Time you get back to the hunt that night, Saturday night, to check in, you cut that zip tie. You cannot get that card out of that coyote's mouth. Rigor mortis set in, locked in. And most of them anymore, we have to take a short video, walking up to the coyote, picking it up, shaking it, put the card in, zip tie it. Every hunt has different rules.
You don't want a headshot for that reason too, right?
Don't want a headshot because if the jaw if it's broke, cannot be put in place and zip tied, they DQ it.
Even if you have the video and all.
Yeah. And if their feet are blowed off, you come in and the foot's blowed off, he might have been caught in a trap.
Right.
These and the hunts, a lot of these hunts we go to are big money. It ain't nothing to win 20,000.
Oh my. So it brings some cheating in it.
Yeah. So with that kind of money, somebody's always going to try to cheat. So
have you won the big prize?
We have not won the big one, but we win a lot of hunts and we place at a lot of hunts. I mean, we place at most of the hunts we go to.
What kind of rifle you shoot?
I got a couple different ones. I shoot a 220 Swift with a Burris Eliminator 4 on it. It's got a built-in rangefinder. I mainly carry it out west where I have to make some longer shots.
Okay.
Because it's got the built-in rangefinder. You just put the crosshairs on and push the button, and wherever the dot goes in the scope, you just put it on him and shoot.
Wow.
You got to adjust for the wind and stuff like that, but it's good up to about 700 yards.
Man.
I don't really I don't shoot that far, but I don't mind shooting 400 or 500 yards.
Wow.
And then I shoot a 22-250 with a Burris regular, just 5x, I think it's a 5x12 or something.
Scope, okay.
Scope on it. And it's more for, 200 yards, 250
Yeah,
yards.
the hunt around here, probably you won't get a lot of 700 yards, would you?
No. Yeah. But you get out west and then big sand hills and stuff like that, there's some long range stuff.
That's pretty cool.
And I don't really shoot that far, but it's nice having the rangefinder built in because when you're sitting on your butt, leaned up against a bush, and a coyote pops up out there, it's like, well, is he at 250 or is he at 300 or is he at 325?
Hard to tell.
It's hard to tell. And coyotes just don't sit down out there and give you. Now, sometimes I've had some of them sit down out there for 20 minutes and just sit there and look at the call, like what's going on. But a lot of times they'll pop their head up, they'll look, and then they sneak away because they want to get downwind of you.
Right.
And see what's going on. So they don't give you a whole lot of time. But that way you put it on there and you go, he's at 355 yards. You just know to put the crosshairs a little high on him and go. But
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun. Me and Keith really enjoyed that. We've done it we're some of the first ones around to hit the hunts.
Do you have dogs?
Nope, no dogs. It's just strictly calling.
Okay.
So,
What do you do with the pelts?
well, we used to sell them.
I thought so. I seen a picture of you. You had like a truck bed full of pelts.
Me and my brother, we grew up trapping. My dad coyote trapped and stuff, and me and my brother Jim, we just kind of grew up trapping, and we used to go out and what they call long line trap out in Kansas and out west, and we'd drive several hundred miles a day
To run your line.
trapping coyotes, and we'd catch.
Was the pelts worth
Back then, I mean, there was times we'd sell them, $85, $100 a piece.
Wow.
End up with $72 average on
And
a couple hundred
what
coyotes.
was the technique? Would you skin it and then they would cure it, or would you have to cure it too?
No, what we done, which we would haul freezers out with us when we went out west, we'd catch them, we'd skin them. Usually we skin midday. So we'd get up, say, like at 4:30 in the morning, go to run traps. Then we would stop and eat lunch, skin what we had in the truck, and then finish running traps, finish skinning, and then we would go farther and make new set. Every day we tried to add, 10 new sets or 20 new sets.
Wow.
Every day. So the trap line just kept getting longer and longer and longer. And then when we come back to the trailer, I'd pull my big horse trailer out, and we had freezers in the back, and we would bag them up, freeze them. And then when we come home, then we would thaw out, say, 20 coyotes a night. We scrape them, we wash them, we run them through a old time ringer, and then we soak them in Downy fabric softener. And there's no blood on them. I mean, they smell like a baby blanket when we're done. And then we put them on a stretcher.
Okay.
And then they spend one night with the hair in, hide out. And then the next morning we turn them so the hair's out. And then once they're completely dry, then we take them off of the stretcher, and we take an air hose and we fluff them and then hang them up. So they're pretty much ready to go to the tannery when we sell them. And
But quite a bit of work.
there's quite a bit of work in it.
Yeah.
Which for years we sold to NAFTA, which was a big fur harvesters auction in Canada.
Okay.
And they would come in and they would send a truck down.
What would you do with all the carcasses?
We got rid of them wherever we could.
Okay.
Out there, around them feedlots, they've always got dead pits. And
Yep.
we can throw them in the dead pits. Some of the guys want them, throw it in piles. Nothing really eats on them.
Oh, really? So crows don't eat them, rather?
Birds.
Okay,
Birds
birds
are
do.
about the only thing that'll eat on them dead coyotes and stuff. So we spread them out and for the birds.
Right.
But normally wherever we go, one of the ranchers that we trap on will either have a dead pit or a place that
spot.
they dispose of dead animals. Because most of them guys are big cattle farmers,
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, we call it the kill field.
Yeah.
It's a
And we just kind of let nature take care of it.
okay. Well, I wondered. I didn't know there was I couldn't imagine a commercial use for a coyote carcass, but
Not really.
And so nowadays, wherever you do these hunts, what do you guys do with the pelts?
Nothing. We don't even skin the coyotes anymore. They're not worth anything.
So
The
they just
market
discard
has
them.
crashed. So when we get back to the deal, they check them in, they weigh them, because usually there's side pots of heaviest coyote, lightest coyote, biggest male, biggest female, whatever, mangiest coyote. Every hunt will have different side pots. And some of the hunts will have a dump trailer, and they'll weigh the coyotes and they just throw them in there, and then they have a place to go dump them. Other hunts will say, "Hey, you got to take your coyotes with you."
Wow.
So we throw them back in the truck, and then we dispose of them, where we normally dispose of them.
Okay.
And
Man, it's always amazing to me when I do these podcasts, all the things I didn't know about.
yeah.
That's
But when we first started, you just went out in the field, set up a call. We had mouth calls, and you'd call coyotes in. Man, they just come running. We didn't worry about the wind. We just went and called coyotes.
had fun.
So some days we called coyotes, some days we didn't, and we never really understood why we didn't. We just there ain't no coyotes there today, but it's like hunting big deer. You got to work the wind. You got to make sure when you're going in a place, you got a good place to park the truck. You're not, you got to really work at it.
Yeah,
because
understand geography.
so many people doing it nowadays that a lot of these coyotes are really smart, and they've been called to quite a bit. The night hunting deal now in the state of Missouri, they can hunt with thermals at night, so that's kind of hurt the coyote population a little bit. As far as
Have you hunted with thermals?
I have not.
Okay.
So it looks fun.
Yeah, it
I know
does.
several guys that do it. And but I still like to go in the morning and set up and call coyotes.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's pretty amazing.
and
So one of my favorite stories of yours is your teeth story, and I know you got a mustache, I know, but you got the prettiest teeth.
well, they're dentures. they but they are nice. I back in the early 2000s, we raced chuck wagons and raced mules and all this. And we was at Sedan, Kansas at the chuck wagon race at the Red Buffalo. And I was me and my brother and a bunch of, we're in the mule race. And you have to get on, run this big race. Well, they had us go up this hill and across and down. And we was coming down this hill and they had me pushed to the outside. And me and
How many riders?
oh, I can't remember. There was probably 15 or 20.
So a good crowd.
It draws a good crowd.
No, I mean, but
Yeah,
20 people running.
Everybody that has a mule thinks they can run, so they enter up. And they had me pushed to the outside, and they had cut the fence from brace post to brace post. So we'd come up and around and down, and me and my mule run smack dab in an 8-inch steel H brace that was just on the edge of the field there. And I wake up and there's a little girl sitting on me holding my head, and I could not breathe. And I do a push up and I'm like, you have got to get off of me. She's like, you broke your neck. Don't move. I'm like, I do another push up.
So you're on your back?
No, face down.
Oh, and she's sitting on your back?
No, yeah, she's sitting on my back holding my head.
Oh,
and
geez.
blood's just pouring out of my mouth. And so I do a push up and I'm like, you have got to get off of me. I cannot breathe. And ambulance pulls over there. They load me up. And I broke my jaw, my mandible right here, right on the bend. And that was Friday morning.
And a bunch of teeth.
Huh?
And a bunch of teeth.
And all the teeth back here. So they packed me off in the ambulance to the Sedan Hospital, which is a little tiny hospital. Recommend don't go there. They come in and they're like, okay, Mr. Ellis, here, you broke your jaw right here. There's nothing we can do for you. You need to see a specialist. Well, I was shooing for Frank Schaefer.
Yep.
And he had cutting horses and stuff. And so my wife calls him. Well, he's at Fort Worth at a cutting. That was Friday morning. So I go back to the ranch and I stay all Saturday, Sunday with a broken jaw and broken ribs.
Were you trying to eat?
I didn't try to eat.
Oh, man.
My head swelled up so big I couldn't even take an aspirin. And so I got up Saturday morning and saddled my mule. And my wife at the time, she's like, what do you think you're doing? I said, I'm going riding. She's like, no, you almost died. I said, no, God had his chance yesterday and he didn't take it. He don't want me dead. He just wants me hurting for a little bit. So I saddled up. I rode all day Saturday, all day Sunday. Monday we got home. Tuesday we seen Frank. Wednesday they operated, wired my jaw shut. But I broke most of my teeth and loosened all my teeth from here back. And I was wired up for 8 weeks. Well, when they wired, they do it in an X pattern. And they actually pulled the teeth up out of the gums a little bit, out of the socket. And Frank told me.
Not intentional.
Not intentional, but they was all loose. They were just so loose.
There was nothing they could do about it.
No.
All right.
And Frank's like, you're going to lose some of these teeth, you know. And you're probably going to end up with dentures. Well, after I got unwired and all this, I had a horse kick me on this side of the face.
So you had no dentures in. You were just.
I had no dentures.
So you were operating with half a mouth.
Yes.
Okay.
All these teeth were very loose. I mean, I could take my tongue and push on them and they'd move.
So would you chew on that side?
Huh?
Would you
very,
chew?
very gingerly. Not
Okay.
much. but I had a horse get me on this side and break some teeth off. I go to the dentist. He's like, you have like 6 good teeth and that's it. I said, well then hell, let's just pull them and get ready for dentures.
And how old are you?
I was in my late 30s.
Okay.
And so they pulled them, got the impressions. I got dentures. And man, I wasn't getting along very good at all with them. I could put them in, but I could not eat or talk. As soon as I'd go to talk, I'd get the dry heaves and I'd have to pull them out. And I couldn't eat with them. And an older person told my wife at the time, Laura, that she needed to go to town and get some Fixodent cream and powder and to glue them in. So I get home and we put the glue and sprinkle the powder on it, and I put it in. And he said, just hold it tight for 10 minutes. So I'm just sitting there in the yard. We're outside. And I just got it in, and I'm just sitting there just trying to just relax. And I went to say something, and I got the dry heaves, and I could not get them out. They was glued in so tight. I mean, I'm on the ground rolling around trying to dig my teeth out. And it must have been like putting somebody in a straitjacket, because after about 30, 45 minutes, I was okay with it. I'd had the dry heaves for a solid 30 minutes, tried to dig them out, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh.
That's now you're good.
I guess it's okay now, because I could not get them out. And
How long did they stay in that time?
Oh, they stayed in for a couple of days. And I learned if you'll take a Coca-Cola, it'll break the bond.
Oh, okay.
So I've had dentures for the last
30 years.
30 years.
25 anyway, yeah.
And I have broke several sets, horseshoe nails.
Oh, okay.
I put them in my mouth and get kicked or something and bite down on a nail, and it'll split the bottom dentures just in two, or knock a tooth out.
So do you still have to glue them in?
I do not have to glue them in. I just, every morning I get up, brush my teeth. I never take them out. I take them out, brush them, put them right back in. Nobody ever knows I got dentures.
Right. So you sleep with them?
I sleep with them.
Oh, okay.
I can eat apples, corn on the cob.
Nice.
I get along with them very, very well.
Yeah.
And I just, every few years, I go buy a new pair.
All right.
Yeah. But it wasn't fun getting to this point.
But at least you figured it out.
It worked out.
Yeah.
But
Well, what are you going to teach me tonight? Since last time we did this, he brought his call, and it was amazing. But you had to send it in to get more calls put on.
at the end of every season, I send it back in to a guy, and he will hook it up to his computers and add new sounds
Right.
to it.
So what are you going to teach me?
Well, I don't know. But I don't know.
You done taught me a lot.
The calling is a really cool thing, especially if a couple guys are doing it. It's a lot
So
of fun.
do you have a call you can do without any call, like just with your mouth?
No.
Nope.
The dentures kind of slow that down.
Okay.
I can't whistle or
Oh, you can't whistle?
No.
Oh, my.
no.
Did you used to whistle?
Not very good.
Okay, all right.
And definitely not now. But.
Why don't you just use words to explain this call and tell us how you use it?
Well, mainly on the call, we go in, like I said, we work with the wind. We go into a place, we set up, we'll set the call out. Normally we set it anywhere from 50 to 60 yards out in front of us. Now, if it's really pretty brushy around, we'll set it a little closer because we'll carry a shotgun.
But you won't do that as the night before, nothing?
No. Normally on the morning of a hunt, we get up, we want to be at our spot, sitting on the road, ready to walk in we're allowed like 20 minutes before shooting light. So as soon as we get our text, to tell us what card. So I'll get the card, and they'll say up or down. So say if it's a King of Hearts, and they go down. So then I'll have the King of Hearts, Queen of Hearts, Jack of Hearts. And I'll put them 3 cards in my pocket with the Sharpie and 3 zip ties.
Just make, yeah, it would be a bad deal to get mistaken. And
Well, you get out there, and like I said, the rigor mortis sets in, but they want a video. Most of them anymore want a video of you picking the coyote up and putting the card in his mouth and zip tying it. So we need to do that right then.
Right.
And so we'll go in, we'll walk in, it's still dark. We'll set our call up, we'll get ready. Now you have to hunt together. And most of the hunts, it's me and Keith. So we find a tree or a big bush or a brush pile, and we set up, and we kind of know, we've hunted most of these places enough, we know which direction the coyotes are going to come out of. We set up, and soon as it gets where it's legal to shoot and we can see, we'll turn the call on, and we have a series of calls we run through.
on your phone.
No, on the call.
Okay.
And the e-caller, the electronic call, has a remote.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And most of the time we start out with a lone howl or bark showing that there's a coyote in this area. And then we'll either get aggressive or we'll go to a rabbit. Like that coyote just killed a rabbit. And a lot of times we'll play a local, and then we'll do like a pair serenading or something. And if there's any resident coyotes right there, it just drives him crazy.
So they come to find out.
They're coming to run you out of this part of the country. That's their home, and you're intruding. So different times of the year or season, we play different sounds. Now, like right now, puppy sounds. Any coyote puppy, fox puppy, bobcat kitten, coyotes they just can't stand it. They have to come to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So male coyote, will you come to kill pups?
Most of the time they come to see what's going on, see why the fight is, or it's like, oh, that's strangers in my home territory, and they come to run them out.
Okay.
Very few times do coyotes come because they're hungry.
Right.
It's more of an investigation type thing or dominance thing.
So a wounded rabbit's not nearly as good as
No, like I said, years ago, play a wounded rabbit, coyote show up. There was lots of coyotes. They wasn't very smart. Any distress sound, blue jay, rabbit,
but that's changed.
but that's changed.
Okay.
So now we have to play more what we call vocals. But on the remote, it's got volume, it's got a list. I can go to menu. And like I said, I've got hundreds of calls. So I can sit there, but I have a certain number of,
What do you really like?
this, and this that I kind of run through.
Yep.
And, but we're only there about 10 minutes, 12 minutes.
Oh.
If the wind's blowing really hard, we may stay a little, 15 or 20. But most time we're there, we're set up. We hunt for 8, 9, 10 minutes. Bam, up, we're gone to the next spot.
Oh, no kidding.
And we try to hit 12 to 15 spots a day.
Wow.
On that during that hunt.
So it's busy.
So it's nonstop.
Yeah.
And most time you're walking anywhere from a quarter to a half a mile into a spot.
Right.
Set up, hunt. If you kill it, most time if there's a coyote there, he's there within just a minute, 20 seconds or whatever.
Okay.
And then grab him, get him tagged, get to the truck, get to the next spot.
Wow.
And it's from daylight to dark as hard as and fast as you can go.
So you got to be in some shape for that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And I hunted hard. That was the deal with me getting sick. I hunted all winter, walked
Right.
mile. I mean, every day walked 8, 9 miles on them hunts and chewing big numbers. And then all of a sudden, it's like something's
to
going
die.
on. Yeah.
What about an inspirational saying? Do you have one of them?
Well, I was told one time that no matter what happens, you get to choose your hard. So, like he told me, he said, marriage is hard, divorce is hard, but you get to choose your hard. Being successful is hard. Working 9 to 5 is hard, but choose your hard. If you want to be financially stable, it's hard. If you want to be poor, it's hard, but you get to choose your hard.
All right.
And I've kind of lived like that.
So choose your hard's the way to go.
Yeah, yeah. What I'm not one of them people that just run in and just just go on and change. And I weigh everything and say, what's going to be the outcome on this, and what's going to be the outcome on that.
Yep. One thing I was going to talk about that I didn't is your camp cooking. So you are a camp cook. Like that's chuck wagon stuff your thing.
I do a lot of cooking. I have a chuck wagon.
Yep. You cook for weddings for my kids?
I've cooked several weddings. I'm going to cook at your contest.
Yep. So, folks, we are fixing to have our 30th anniversary. So the Heartland Horseshoe School has been going for 30 years. And I have coerced, asked, requested, begged Jace to come cook for us. And you're going to do that on the 10th.
Yes.
So May 10th, 2025, if you're in the area, this man, you can really cook. So we're going to have a bunch of pork. I think the main thing's going to be pork.
Pork. And
Might have some beef in there.
there'll be some stuff.
There'll be some stuff.
I experiment a lot.
Yeah. So anyway, Kent Rollins, you know him.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's a camp cook, does a lot of stuff
He's kind of the
YouTube.
pioneer on the cowboy cooking and stuff.
Yeah, he's probably one of the best known cowboy cooks
Absolutely.
in the world.
Absolutely.
And what a gentleman.
And he's changed the industry
Right.
100-fold. I mean, he's changed the whole outlook on it.
So I interviewed him for a podcast, and he was just the nicest gentleman.
Yeah.
His wife came and did a class for me on how to do some of the technical side.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, unbelievable
He's
people.
really nice.
Yeah.
We seen him at Branson, and I mean, really, really. And that's, I mean, I love to cook. My mom taught all us boys how to cook, and I don't know if she ever thought we'd have a spouse or not, but she taught us how to cook, and I enjoy cooking. Me and my brother, we used to enter a lot of barbecue and smoking contests, stuff like that.
Did you win many?
We win the whole hog.
Okay.
That's my main deal. There's certain things about the cooking because I like a really dry rib. I don't want a wet rib.
Okay.
So I like a dry. So if I'm competing and I turn my ribs in and you like a wet rib,
Of course.
you're not going to judge mine very good.
Right.
Okay. So that's kind of a one-man deal, because what they do, they bring in, say, 100 people out of the audience to try the food, where the whole hog is the same 5 guys or 6 guys, and they go around to each deal and taste each hog. And you have to do a presentation and all that. And that, I like winning that.
Okay.
And we normally do pretty good.
I bet you did. Well, our 20th anniversary, you did cook a whole pig for us.
A couple little pigs.
Right. Yeah. We hung them in the shooting area.
Yeah, hung them in the shooting area.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember what, me and my brother, we built several smokers. And I think that was the one that was on the axle, the running
Right.
gear.
Yeah.
I pulled it in.
Yeah.
But we built several smokers and different designs.
Man, you've done a lot of stuff, huh?
This, and I ain't saying the horseshoeing done it, but my business has allowed me to do whatever I want to do.
Amen.
I go elk hunting, load up, and I love to pack. Me and my brother and Keith, we love to go to Wyoming and outside of Jackson Hole and pack, and I've got to do pretty much whatever I wanted to do my whole career.
That's amazing.
And life's good.
All right. Well, the last thing I ask my guests to do is give me a joke. You got a joke for me?
And I'm not good at jokes, but
And so that so surprises me, because you got the features for a joke, you got the accent for jokes. Like you could be.
last night, a buddy of mine, really good friend, And he can rattle on jokes for hours and hours. And I was shooting horses, and I'm like, "Hey, Marcus, I need a joke." And he just went to rattling on. I'm like, "No, can't do that. No, can't do that. Okay, that and that. Don't tell me no more, because it'll confuse me." But it's how can you tell a blind man's at a nude beach?
Tell me.
It's not hard.
All right.
But I am not. And I just don't remember jokes.
Well, you're such a good storyteller,
Yeah,
and
no.
if you just, the way you can weave a story, you just weave your joke into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Marcus, though, he's full of jokes.
Yeah.
And but
Well, my friend, I treasure your friendship,
Hey,
and I thank
me
you
too.
so much for not just doing this once with me, but doing it twice.
hey, anytime.
Yeah,
I got lots of stories.
you do.
I've had all kinds of stuff happen in life.
Yeah.
And 40 years of showing horses, you get to see a lot of stuff and
And
meet
you
a lot
don't,
of people.
you don't really read or write like you don't like to sit down and write or yeah, because you could write some books, man.
Yeah, I tease people there for a while. I should write a book on what not to tie to, because I've had clients tied to pretty much everything over the years.
Yeah.
And the expressions I get when shit blows up, then people stand there and like, "Well, I never thought that would happen." I'm like, "Well,
We had
tied to a picnic table."
Gary Rook. He had that heavy duty WW round pin.
Yeah.
And he tied all his horses on the inside of it. We're inside of it. And they pulled that round pin over the top of us.
Yeah.
And I jumped the fence, but there were several students that just got mowed,
Did you ever go to Beechwood and shoe horses?
I don't think so.
There was a guy by the name of Larry Sechrist, and he managed the ranch, and he trained some race horses, and he had a big old sorrel pony horse. And Beechwood actually raised Hereford cattle
Okay.
for years and years, old style, little short Hereford cattle. But Larry managed the place. Well, they had their own sale there at the ranch. They had the prettiest white fence, and they had took telephone poles and sawed them in half and put posts in the ground, and then they took the other half and run a big lag bolt through it. So it is all connected good. But it wasn't very tall. Well, I show up one day, and he's got this pickup horse or pony horse tied to this white picket fence, board fence. I backed my truck up there, and we're standing there talking, and I can't remember what spooked the horse, but the horse pulled back. Well, he broke every one of them posts off. But this fence is bolted together.
So you got 30 feet of it.
Yeah, a big old long section. And he's running backwards, dragging it, bashes into my truck, Larry's truck. So I run around on the backside, and I have to get on the fence, and I'm holding like a ski to cut the rope. And Larry's, his face, he's like, "Wow, I never thought that had happened," but
You remember decaling?
yeah.
Yeah. She had that. She had the stall barn, and then but the backside of it was panels that were all wired in good and tight, and she'd tie her horses on the back of that. And so we were there with the class doing horses, and she had maybe 5 or 6, and one pulled back, so they all pulled back.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a lot of horsepower. And Cody was maybe 3, maybe 4. He was tiny, and all these panels, 5 horses coming right at us. So I threw him in a concrete feed bunk, and I just jumped over the top of him, and they pulled all that stuff over top of him.
Oh, really?
Nobody got killed. None of the horses got killed. We destroyed the panels.
Yeah.
But that sort of stuff can happen so fast,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
and you could end up with permanent damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Greg Freeman had a big black and white paint horse that they'd bought off Pee Wee Bowman. They called 8 Ball. I show up to shoe, and Greg had built this big old Purdy hitching rail. Why? I went in and caught. You have to rope him to get him out of the stall. And I roped him. I brought him out, and he was really snorty. And man, he had big old horse flies on him, and they was just eating him up. And I had him tied up there, and I just had a bottle of fly spray in my truck. I just grabbed it, turned around, and he blowed smooth up, and we tore that that brand new hitching reel plumb out of the ground, and he was sitting there spinning like a reining horse, and that hitching reel was going around him like this, and I'm trying to reach and grab it, and finally he just stopped, and I got it untied, and I kind of drug the hitching rail off over by the corner and tied him up, and I shoot him, and here come Greg. And Greg walked around the truck, and he's standing there like, what happened to my hitching rail? I said, well, 8-ball tore it down. I said, I went to spray him with fly. Oh, you don't ever fly spray him down. He tears stuff up. I felt so bad, but just stuff like that.
Some horses can't stand it.
Yeah, and he was one of them horses. The safest spot on him was on him.
Yeah, there's something like that.
You'd reach down and pick a foot up, and you could just feel his heart just go to beating. And he had put several people in the hospital shoeing him. But I learned just go there by myself and do him. No stress.
Yep.
And he didn't want to be held. He didn't want to be brushed.
Yep.
You tried really not to touch his body. You just touched his hoof.
Yep.
And once I figured out how to shoe him, I got along with him good.
Well, I had that Bon Jovi horse with Gary. Main reason I even got that account, and I still have.
Yep.
But you couldn't bring him forward.
Yeah.
You absolutely not any foot. And so I'd get him shot in the alley, and I'd lead him out there in that little cut horse arena, and I would clinch the nails in the sand.
Oh, well.
So I'd just reach in, and so it looked like it was, it was shod by a blind man, because there's no way to finish it.
Yep.
But
yeah. Oh, that horse had rumors all over.
horse
People would call and go, hey, man, and
well, the whole reason I got that account was Gary called. We just moved here September '94, and he called me in October and said, "Do you do bad horses?" I said, "We were starving, And in Colorado, I'd make $11,000 a month. So in July, I made $11,000 in 1994. In September, I made $45. I shot one horse for Brent Onstad in Lamar, and so that's
a big change.
So I was willing to shoot anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
And I showed up and I got that horse shod, and I still do those horses because I was able to do that horse, but he hurt me every time.
Yeah.
His biggest trick was on the hind end, and you get in there and you just try to barely holding him, but he would hook you, jump forward, and then kick you out.
Yep.
And what about the 1.1 cc's?
And he was a little horse anyway.
Yeah, he was tiny
and
and fast.
I think Gary broke his leg on him at least once. Maybe that horse would get down in the dirt, and Gary's very tall and long-legged, and he got on him a time or two, and I know he broke his leg at least once.
Yeah, so fast.
But he was a little tiny and fast.
And no prediction.
Yeah.
Like a lot of horses, it's coming.
Yeah.
With him, all of a sudden you pick yourself up and like, how did that happen?
Yeah. And so.
Well, it's been a good career. I've had a great visit.
Well,
and,
me too.
Sir?
Thank you.
Yeah, I really
enjoyed.
Really appreciate you.
Anytime.
All right, my friend. Well, I guess we got 3 weeks before we start cooking.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.